Our next guest has been on a mission for about 3 years. He wants people in New Bedford to get moving, get healthy, and be well. I guess we shouldn't limit that to New Bedford. You'd want everybody to do that, I think. His name is Dr. Michael Rocha, and he and many others are part of the New Bedford Wellness Initiative. Dr. Rocha is a cardiologist. He has a practice at Hawthorne Medical Associates in Dartmouth. Dr. Rocha, welcome.
Thanks for having me on. This is really a privilege this morning.
I have to think that based on your practice and the overall rates of obesity in Greater New Bedford, probably prompted you to begin to think about organized efforts to get people a little more healthy. But you tell me how the Wellness Initiative started.
Yeah, well, I think that I was really motivated after seeing an article that was published in the Standard Times back in 2014. And just to frame it a little bit before that, I grew up in New Bedford, so I actually have the privilege and opportunity to work with a lot of people, families and friends and different people that I know very well. And what I recognize on that article that we weren't doing as well as we should be, and there was a lot of challenges. There's a lot of things in New Bedford that we may be 5 to 10% worse than other parts of the state for a lot of the determinants of disease. So we were struggling with high blood pressure, with high cholesterol, with our weight, with smoking, with our behavioral health issues. And unfortunately, a lot of those things need to be dealt with much before they end up in the doctor's office. So I've always been very interested in, getting beyond, what can we do in the office is important. Pills and procedures all have their place, but we want to really treat the root causes. We need to really ratchet back in the process when we're trying to affect those things. So when I saw this, I really thought hard about, things that we could do in their community that were simple, that could be effective. And really the first thing that we ended up doing was a walk in the April of 2014 around Buttonwood Park. And then we started, and this was actually before I really knew much about Facebook. I had to get an account. And then we started a Facebook group that weekend. And since that time, we've really kind of continued to grow and try to find simple but effective ways to help impact people's health. And actually, that's the truth is that a lot of what I see, almost 80% of heart attacks can be prevented through lifestyle. And that includes eating healthy, maintaining a normal waistline, not smoking, and moving, staying active or exercise. And sometimes people think the word exercise, is you have to have a gym membership. Actually, things such as just getting in the garden is moderate activity, and we need to do more of that. So, what I think is that there's very effective ways to impact the root causes of why people end up with heart attacks or why people end up with heart failure or various things. And that's why I really am dedicated to doing that.
So when it comes to wellness, how bad are we in Greater New Bedford? What's pointed at, I think, most often is the diabetes rate. Through the roof in this city. Not only people have been diagnosed with diabetes, but pre-diabetes, younger people who may not even know they're on the verge of having a condition here.
Right.
Is that true? That
is true. So type 2 diabetes is largely preventable. There's several kinds of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes usually is unfortunately a genetic disorder where people have diabetes when they're younger, but much of the diabetes that we see is preventable. And unfortunately, our weight or obesity, as you talked about beforehand, is a precursor or something that can lead to type 2 diabetes. So as we can see, what we're trying to do is to really get back to what those real drivers of disease are.
Okay, so let's brighten the conversation a little bit, but what are some of the programs in the Wellness Initiative, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, so we do a lot of different things, and I think that the nice thing is that I get people all the time that come up to me and say, hey, what can I do? And they have all these great ideas. And really, there's some incredible people doing work in our community. And so one of one of the pillars, obviously, of our program is that we still do our monthly wellness walk. And we've been fortunate to continue to do the first Saturday of the month, either at the North Dartmouth Mall in the winter where we go inside from November until March, and then we move it outside from April through October. We do our walk around Buttonwood Park, and it's always the first Saturday, so people know that it's going to be there. Unfortunately, the weather, as we know in the last couple of months, was not exactly favorable, so we weren't able to move it outside in May, but we were able to get outside last week. We also do our Sunday program is every Sunday, and even though we call it the New Bedford Wellness Initiative, it really is for Greater New Bedford and beyond. This is free to everybody. And, we've got some really wonderful people that are supporting our work to allow us to bring these programs to our community. So every Sunday, we're at the Boys and Girls Club of New Bedford between 11 to 3. And we have certain programs that are always every week. Sometimes we do different things that we're able to offer. So the typical thing that happens on Sunday is we have an aerobics class at 11 o'clock. We have a Qigong class, which is wonderful. It's a mind-body gentle movement that we're able to offer to people that aren't able to do the aerobics at the same time at 11. We have a nutrition class, which we have some fantastic people that have been participating. Chefs, nutritionists, farmers have all really been coming and sharing their wisdom on how people can eat healthier. We've also able to offer yoga at 1 o'clock and mindfulness at 2 o'clock, which is a form of kind of meditation and grounding. Once a month, we have a massage therapist, Paula, who's there, and we have free massages. We've been very fortunate. We have the Southcoast Health Van that's there once a month, so people are able to get screenings, blood pressure checks. They're able to do immunizations, and they also are able to get health education. And we're very excited over the last couple of months. We've had it's hard to sometimes engage smokers to come out to people, or not. I don't want to say smokers, but people that are struggling with smoking, and to get them to engage in our programs. And we've had a hypnotist that's been working with people to help stop smoking. And, unfortunately, smoking is still responsible for 20% of deaths in this country, which is really tragic at this point. So we're really trying to extend these programs. And at different times of the year, we do different things. So actually, there's certain months. The first couple of months of this year, we actually partnered with the Fitness Challenge, and we're able to do other programming in collaboration with other groups throughout the region and the city.
Okay, you're listening to Townsquare Sunday. I'm Jim Phillips. My guest is Dr. Michael Rocha of the New Bedford Wellness Initiative. Where can people go to get this information? What's the website? What's the Facebook page? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So our website is www.nbewell.com. So nbewell.com. And we actually have a lot of the events that we've already done, upcoming events, and also certain things that we've done over the last couple of years. So presentations. We recently did a program at the New Bedford Whaling Museum called Being Mortal, talking about end of life and making those decisions. And I've left the PowerPoint up there for people to view. We had I just did with Henry Bousquet a Food is Medicine seminar, and I put the PowerPoint, and actually we're going to hopefully be able to put a video up of that presentation, hopefully soon. That's still being worked out, but I try to put any kind of educational information that I can up there with lots of links and different things that I may recommend, or books. So that site has a lot of information that people can go to, and that's on the internet. Our Facebook group is New Bedford Wellness Initiative, and we have both a group and a page. And I've had to figure out that there's certain things you can do on a group that you can't do on the page, so I keep both of them there so I can be able to leverage social media as best I can, because I continue to learn more and more. And as you know, Facebook changes just about every week in terms of what you could do. But there's a New Bedford Wellness Initiative group. Currently, we have over 3,700 people right now that are following every day. And so we're very excited to be able to share what's going on not only in our community but throughout the country on various things. And there's a lot of really amazing things that happen around here. And I think that it's amazing to see the energy and the commitment people have towards helping one another, really.
When it comes to eating, what's the number one thing people, young and old, should be thinking about before they put something in their mouth?
I think the concept of realizing that food is medicine, and that food, we use food sometimes as an antidepressant, for example. People may, when they're stressed and or various things happen in their lives, they may eat certain foods because it may make them feel good, so-called comfort foods at times. But I think that one of the most important things people need to realize is it's fuel. And actually, when you look at it, I think it was the World Health Organization actually had looked at, what are the number one drivers of actually death and disease, and food is the top, even higher than high blood pressure and smoking. So the food that we eat really should be thought of as medicine. And, Michael Pollan, who's a food journalist, actually said it really well. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. And, I think that's a good place to start. I actually counsel patients and say not too fast, because actually we eat too fast. And my good friend Loretta LaRoche said, we're all eating on the dashboard buffet. And it's true. We're living through drive-through. And what we need to do is to really slow down. And I think that if people really slowed down and paid attention to the foods that they're eating, and again, fruits and vegetables, 5 a day, having a handful of nuts is good for you. Berries a few times a week, all those things that could be very simple actually make a huge difference for our cardiovascular health. But the interesting thing is our cardiovascular health, the things that are good for that are good for preventing cancer, preventing, strokes. All of those things are interrelated. So it's not just talking about what's good for our heart. It's actually good for everything.
I'm sure you've heard the term, Dr. Rocha, everything in moderation. Is that really good advice?
I think there's good advice in moderation. So I think that there's certain things that we probably should try to avoid as best we can. And, I think the Mediterranean diet, which actually has some of the best evidence for cardiovascular disease, both in preventing people from having strokes or heart attacks, or actually preventing people that have had a heart attack from having another one. And there's a good concept there, lots of fruits and vegetables, olive oil, nuts, fish, and really limiting certain things such as limiting red meat, limiting dairy, limiting sugar, those kind of things, and really making sure that, we not everything in moderation. Some things should really be limited. But you're absolutely right. I think that just trying to figure out that balance in our foods is really important. And when people start to look how far away from that balance or moderation they are, it's quite striking.
So I think one of the things that I'm concerned about when we talk about healthy living, there's a lot of that encompasses a lot of things, and I'm concerned with the violence that's been happening in the city of New Bedford. We're all concerned about it, but that if you live it, if you experience it, that is part of your life, and the stress can be not healthy.
Yeah.
That's basically, and all of us have to, I think. We all have places that we live and neighborhoods that we enjoy and all of that. But I don't know if that plays in what you're talking about, but it plays into stress, and it plays into the kind of things that really are kind of unhealthy for all of us.
Yeah. Stress is really driving the bus on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look at the drivers of health, and people are starting to look more at what the social determinants are, which are actually looking at our educational status, poverty, and all those different things. And, we cannot separate out our behavioral and our physical well-being or health. And, when we're in places where those things aren't in balance, when there's stressors, things break down. And whether that stress breaks down the body, or it breaks down in a community, or it breaks down into various ways with behavioral health, they're all interrelated. And, what I really want to see in the city of New Bedford is really this concept. They have this concept in San Diego called Live Well San Diego. And actually, because they've really been committed to the determinants of health, in their cases, they've really focused on a diet, exercise, and smoking cessation, they have Live Well San Diego. I want to see Live Well New Bedford. And that's only going to be possible when all of those things, like we said, our physical and our behavioral well-being are balanced, and it's possible. And I think that one of the things is to continue to come together and build community. And as I see so many wonderful things that are happening in our community and so many people that are doing fantastic things, there's great things happening in the city of New Bedford and through the mayor's office. They have the New Bedford Reads program. That's important. That's actually helping those kids to live healthier at the end of the day. And in the work that we do throughout the city, cannot just be focused on our physical well-being. It has to be our behavioral well-being. And, I think that building community, building outlets, we need to actually recognize that the things that can be the antidote to some of these things are already there. Supporting programs or organizations like Denison Memorial, like the Boys and Girls Club of New Bedford, which I'm on the board of directors there, recognizing that investing in our kids, getting those kids into those programs is going to cut down on our violence and some of the kids that are getting unfortunately mixed up in the wrong circles and in gangs. We need to get back to recognizing that, places of community like the basketball court may be a place where people come together. And I think that these are not necessarily the things that we think of, quote, as treatments, but they really are. And when we're starting to think about, treating a community and socially re-engineering New Bedford, these are the things that are going to make a huge difference for what you're talking about and your concerns.
Dr. Rocha, all of us have a big job ahead, but I would like to thank you for getting the ball rolling, for us saying, hey, we got to do something here. We need more people like that. In Greater New Bedford, for sure. Thanks again.
I look forward to continuing this conversation with our community, and I look forward to anybody that wants to reach out to us. We're all ears, and we welcome you in.